Hi, this is Tara coming back to you with another video. So today I've decided to talk about perfumes with the note Myrrh. And if you go to Fragrantica, which is like a really cool website, so this is the website, and you go to notes up here, you can type in the notes that you're interested in perfume, and then get like perfumes, a list of perfumes that actually have that note. So I typed in Myrrh, Mirrh, I think is the, and then here it is. So you can see Myrrh is a type of resin. It's like something that comes out of trees. Yeah, so it's a groups between resins and balsams. So these are one of the oldest known perfume ingredients and has a warm, balsamic, sweet, aromatic, spicy fragrance. So to me, Myrrh kind of smells like Coca-Cola, kind of like dark and mysterious. One of the better perfumes that I like, that I have in my collection, I wouldn't say it's better, okay, but one of the perfumes that I really like that has Myrrh, and maybe a lot of people doesn't know about, is actually this one. I'm sure you're all familiar with this beautiful apple shape, and this is the Lolita Lempicka. This is actually Eau de Minuit midnight fragrance. So they have a lot of these a lot of versions of this, but the Eau de Minuit concentrates less on the fruity side and sweet side, and is more like a nighttime fragrance line. So basically these were kind of like have balsamic and like sort of heavier notes that were suitable for the winter and for the fall and nighttime scents, instead of like the cherry and fruity stuff that was more for the daytime that was in the original fragrance. So I bought a tester. It says Eau de Minuit, which means midnight fragrance, demonstrator not for sale. But let's see. The great thing is they list the notes on the back side. So let's see. Oops, never mind. Sorry about that. So basically, this is an ode to the licorice flower. As you know, licorice is one of my favorite scents. I've always talked about it. It's kind of smoky. It's kind of like slightly sweet too, and smoky at the same time. It's a bit elusive. It's not as solid, and it's not as straightforward as vanilla or anything like that. But what happens is that I kind of like this because it gives some sort of mysteriousness, and it also sort of lightens up, like vanilla. It sort of lightens up floral notes, so it's not too solid. So the top notes on this are ivy, which gives it a green sort of freshness, anise, which is the licorice, and myrrh. So myrrh is the Coca-Cola vibe. That's what I call it. The middle is violet and iris concrete. So basically, violet gives it sort of like a wet, sort of floral, innocent floral type of feeling. And then it's kind of like blue, you know what I mean? Like kind of contemplative, kind of wintry. Iris concrete is orris. So it's a very expensive material. It kind of smells like earthy, powdery, maybe slightly waxy. I really like this. Iris concrete is one of my favorite notes. And then also it's lightened by jasmine. So in the base, you have your heavier notes, very cozy. Tonka bean, which gives it like a powdery, milky, kind of a vanilla condensed milk type of vibe, and powderiness too. And then also vanilla infusion and benzoin. So benzoin is something that I have in a lot of my fall perfumes, and it gives like an amber vanilla type of vibe, kind of light. It's lighter and airier than vanilla, and it's kind of ambery in direction. So you have a lot of heavy hitting, cozy, rich type of base with a blue sort of floral and balsamic upper notes, which are really cool. I almost sold this off because I thought it was just like the regular Lolita Lempicka, which I already had. But I'm glad I didn't, because in the winter, this is like a real beauty. The problem is, and I hate to keep doing this to you guys, that this perfume is always like, it's like discontinued, and you can't find it on the Lolita Lempicka website. I actually had to buy this off FragranceNet when they had them, but I think they may be sold out. But if you ever see these on eBay or something like that used, and you like the notes that I mentioned, do snap it up, because this is like a real gem, and I'm super glad to have this in my collection. It's also in the old apple shaped, with the spray coming straight out of the stem instead of the new ones that are kind of angular, and they have a cap over the spray, which is a regular spray, not from the stem. So this is Lolita Lempicka Eau de Minuit, Midnight Fragrance. Okay, so another one that has a Myrrh Coca-Cola vibe, and is also, I think it might even have tonka beans, is this. Everybody knows this. This is the Alien Essence Absolute by Thierry Mugler. This is the 1 ounce. So I got this off of FragranceNet too, and I'm really glad I did, because I think it's like, it might be also discontinued. But anyways, this is like the cutest little alien bottle. It's like so short and squatty, like a waddling toddler, and not as majestic as the other ones. But as you can see, look how deep and dark the juice is. This is all that vanilla oxidized. But anyways, so the vanilla and the jasmine is thinned out and given some like mysteriousness by the myrrh note in this. And this is another really like classic one. This is very strong. I mean, for me, it's very strong. So one spray, it will fill up the whole room, and it lasts a long time too. So if you ever get a chance to try this, give it a go. This is something that you can use, you know, in the winter for parties or anything like that. I consider it like very comforting fragrance. It's like sort of powdery and mysterious and stuff. It's really nice. Another one that has myrrh, that is like very accessible. Although, I mean, this is not discontinued, but I generally I don't have the highest recommendations for the Jo Malone line, because some of their other colognes are in the regular line. Those are the clear glass bottles, are not as well lasting as this. This line is called the Cologne Intense, and this line has myrrh and tonka. So basically there's myrrh in here, it's smoky, but it also has like a rich tonka bean vibe, which is like a vanilla cloud like vibe. So basically it's like Coca-Cola. It's not as smoky, it's not as sharp as the other ones, and it has like a very thick, like kind of fluffy, sort of sweet, powdery vibe that's kind of nice and thick. It's pretty long lasting. This is not the most powerful cologne, but for Jo Malone, it's quite powerful. And this is just like the tester bottle. I mean, not the tester bottle, it's like a mini sample bottle that I got from this. This is like all the other Cologne Intense line mini bottles that I got. Includes Oud Bergamot. Let's see, what is this? Dark Amber and Ginger Lily, which is also a really good one. And Velvet Rose and Oud. I don't really care for that because there's better examples of it. And then this other one, Tuberose Absolute, which is okay. You know, tuberose is not my favorite flower, so I would say that iris probably is one of my favorite flowers, and then after that rose, and then after that mimosa, and then osmanthus. So the last one is an oldie but a goodie. So this is something that I'm trying to revive. This is Red by Giorgio Beverly Hills. And this was like a hit, a really popular and sophisticated cologne from the 80s. And yeah, it is, you might think, well, it is dated, but, and so basically I had a friend that wore this all the time, and I've been thinking about doing a history of my life with all the scents that affected my life and had a bigger impact in my life, and this was one of them. So I don't generally use this a lot, especially not in the summer, but it also has a good myrrh note, especially in the top, but it has like many other notes too. Check this out. So this is the difference between okay, so basically this is the difference between perfumes from the 80s and 90s and nowadays perfumes. Look at the notes. So this is also on Fragrantica. Look at how many notes there are. So in order to make one perfume, they have like, let's see, 9, in excess of like maybe 20 something notes in here to make one perfume. So, I mean, you never see perfumes nowadays with like that many notes. Usually, the average is probably 6 or 7 notes or something, maybe 9 notes is already considered a lot. But back then they use all these notes just to make one perfume. So I love this perfume because it's woody, ambery, and then also has cherry notes and everything like that. But then it also has sandalwood, oak moss, myrrh, tonka bean, olibanum, vanilla, cedar. It has all these base notes on the end. And I think that, and then it also has herbal notes and all these like fruit and all these various flowers. It's like a really amazing, you know what I mean? I know back then they did not have such realistic like technology to make the notes as realistic as now. So maybe back then they had to do like peach, osmanthus, orange blossom. They put a lot of notes together just so they can make one combination. But I think that that's also what's missing from today's perfume is a lot of them is very simplistic. And I noticed that a lot of the recent perfumes, and I like these perfumes too, don't get me wrong, a lot of them will just have vanilla and tonka bean for the base. And then they'll just have 1 or 2 flowers, and then on top they'll have like a fruit, like one fruit. You know what I mean? So I feel like nowadays people don't compose things as complicated as they used to, you know what I mean? And we also have a lot of people that compose things that are not like, formally trained at one of these old schools, like in France, they have these old-fashioned fragrance schools. And a lot of people that are doing these compositions are now, they are connoisseurs, perfume connoisseurs, and they kind of like, a lot of them maybe have self-taught, and they hire someone from the schools, and they have like a more simplistic like sort of a vision, and they don't have so many notes in these perfumes anymore. I mean, these old perfumes are kind of perfumey smelling. They don't smell that realistically. Like, you won't say like, oh, this is just a peach perfume or something like that. You know what I mean? Back then, perfumes were perfumey, meaning that they were a big combination and they were something new entirely. So you would mix up all these notes, and you can probably smell them here or there, but the real thing was the combination. Whereas nowadays, I feel that we're very concentrated on 1 or 2 notes that are very strong, but very realistic, like rose. Back then, the rose was kind of like a powdery, soapy rose because they couldn't get that sort of fruity, sour rose, fresh, dewy rose, like water note. They couldn't get that right. You know what I mean? So they would have to do all this other stuff to try to make it seem like an impression of that. But they don't have to do that anymore. So anyways, thanks for listening. I think I'll end this Myrrh one here and start another one for the tonka beans.